Hi, dear audience. In this short video, we would be discussing about the introduction interview, particularly interview in journal and interview with focus of the job as well. Actually, my students usually ask me the question about how to prepare yourself for the interview and things like that. What have to do before interview? What we have to behave during our interview. So I thought that I should have to recorded conversation with my audience as well. Actually, interview is like you revealing your inner self, what you are. As there is a quote that "Speak so that I may see thee." Uh, Means when you speak, the other one who is your audience, he can see you from the inner self. So speaking is like on the interview is like revealing your inner self to your audience. So it might be more about your habits, it might be about your knowledge, it might be about your futurist understanding. You might be pessimist, optimist, whatsoever you are. This comes through your talk to your interviewer. So I recommend that you have to take the following steps. First of all, you have to take consider the some things which you have to do before your interview, and then what you have to do during your interview, and then what you have to do after your interview. For example, when your interview's date comes to your notice, then first of all, imagine yourself, visualize yourself that I'm going to be interviewed. For that purpose, you must have a confidence in my mind, in your mind, that I am going to be asked some questions and I have to give the answers. And you have to keep in mind that on what things, on what topic I am going to be asked the questions. Definitely, if I'm going to be interviewed about the professor of English, then definitely one thing is clear that he might be asking the questions about English literature. He might be asking English how to teach literature in the classrooms. He might be asking some recent novelists, poets, dramatists, short story writers of the English literature. Definitely, this is a very understood question. So, and then definitely, uh, the world in which you are living, he might he might ask a question about that as well. For example, if I am living amid the Ukrainian conflict, if I am living in the post 9/11 time, then the writer would be definitely asking a question. Interviewer would be asking a question that do you know something about what is going around you in the world? So I following things I should be focusing on my I should focus on my subject. I should focus on the incidents which are going around me in my contemporary times, and then I should have to be a visionary as well. How I am going to look the world in my future. So you have to define all these things during your uh, pre-interview sessions, pre-interview time period. You have to focus on these things, and then you have to be definitely you should be good dressed, you should be well cutting should be there, your nails should be trimmed ones, your shoes should be good, as this day is very important of your life. So as we celebrate on Easter, Christmas, or Eid, Easter, so these days are basically are of much value for us, and we celebrate these days. For example, the day of interview, if you got succeed, if you become successful in that process, in that job interview, that might be the turning day of your life. It might be like a marriage day of your life. It might be a marriage life of your career. So definitely you have to give importance to that day. Uh, for example, you are nothing at that day, and the very by that process, by going through that process of interview, you got a job of grade 17. After grade 18, you got the position of a professor lecturer in the university. So it means that day is very much important for you. So you have to take care of your that day. For that day you should be well prepared, through the dresses. You should be extremely normal, you should be happy, you should be optimist, you should be the realist, you should be have a discern concern understanding, deep understanding of the world around you. You should have a good knowledge of your subject. So try to prepare all these things before you are interview. And then when you enter into the interview rooms, there are a lot of questions which my students ask me, that should we knock at the door, should we get the permission. Actually all these questions make you more confusing when you take the stress of the interview. If you did take all these normal things normal, for example, a lot of things we plan, that when I would be entering into the interviewer's room, I would be asking this question, may I come in, sir? But actually when we move over there, we forgot asking that question. So do not take it, means more stressful for yourself. Take it as a natural. If you remember, if you forget something to say, do not be get worried, just get relaxed. This is natural, forgetting is natural. But it never means that you should forget everything. You should forget your manners, should forget that it's natural, I was unable to be. You should be very conscious about things. For example, a lot of questions where students usually ask that that chair is for the interviewee, should we get the permission from the interviewer to sit on that chair? The simple answer to this is that if you get the permission to sit on the chair, no problem. Ask them, sir, may I have a seat over there? Sir, may I have my seat, please? So it's natural. But even if you say, good morning, sir, and he naturally says that, oh, have a seat, have a seat. Definitely, when you say someone in a response of the turn taking, he asks you something. If you say, that good morning, sir, may I come in, sir? Definitely what he would be saying you, he would be saying that yes, please have a seat, have your seat. So if once he had said you that have a seat, then you cannot ask this question that sir, may I have my seat? So the things are not so formalized, things are more natural. So perceive the reality, perceive the nature at the moment, and behave like that. But if you are coded that I should have to say this one, I should have to say that one, if this go wrong this way, I would be. Even you can apologize from your interviewers. You are the humans, you are not the angels. Mistakes might be there, but mistakes should not be more haphazardly. Mistakes should not be creating your negative image as well. So when you have a seat over there, just get relaxed. And the first point that you have to do, you have to analyze your audience. That how many interviewers are there. For example, I have been passing through the different panels. In one interview, there were only two persons, and in another interview, there were four persons, and in another interview, there were some eight people, and different they were sitting. And in one interview which I have to face, that 12 people were sitting. But it tell 12 never means that everyone is going to ask the question. So never be afraid of the number of the interviewers, that so many people are sitting and they are hearing you. Your audience, your interviewer is your audience. So you have to focus on that. For that you have to keep the formula of 25 plus 75. For example, the person who asks you the question, you should have to focus him 25%, and 75% you have to look on the other audience as well. So uh, When you are seated on your seat, uh, and the interviewer says you that introduce yourself, then keep in mind that you are like a product, you who have to sell himself or herself. So you have to show the positive points of your personality. You should have to be more optimistic. You should have to pretend to, means pretended not in that for example, everyone is a hard worker, but if you say that I am a hard worker, it would be might creating a positive impact on. So if you says that I am very much inclusive in my behavior, I include the other people's with myself, that would be creating a positive impression. So it's like that you are a product which is not needed over there, and you have to sell yourself by provoking your positive points. And actually you have to look at the nature of job as well. For example, if there is a job of an administrator, uh, then you should have to visualize yourself and you have to focus on your administrative and managerial skills. But if there is the job of a translator, then you have to realize your interviewer that you are a good translator. And if the job of the nature is of a teacher, then you have to make him realize that you are good in teaching. Never sell your unnecessary skills which are not needed at that time. So keep on mind what is the nature of the job. So sell yourself according to the nature of job. And if some questions are dropped, you are unable to answer the question, simply say sorry. Sir, I have never come to this point of view, though I have a lot of studies, though I have a lot of reading. For example, if I talk about the post-colonial literature is a very vast field. For example, I haven't read African literature completely. I haven't read Indian literature completely. I haven't read post 9/11 literature of America completely. So it never means possible. It's never possible for me to answer every question. For example, if someone talk about me about the Bangladeshi literature, I have read some of the books from Bangladeshi literature. I have worked some books on Indian literature. I have read some books on African literature. So you may say that, sir, I have read this book of African literature. I have read this book of Indian literature. If he asks some of the African literature, then simply saying sorry, instead of saying simply saying sorry that I don't know, say, sir, I haven't come to this point, but I have read this book of the African. You give space to your interviewers. You give up space to ask the question yourself from this position. And for example, they ask you what is your favorite area of interest, or your favorite genre. Then come to your favorite genre and be very definite and clear in that understanding. So, for example, if I say I am more interested in post-colonial literature, and if he asks some significant, for example, if he says that, tell me something about Homi Ke Bhabha, and if he says that, tell me something about Beatrice Spivak, and if I say, sorry, sir, so this sorry cannot be pardoned. This is error. This is mistake. This is everything. This sorry is going to kick you away from the interview. When you are saying that post-colonial area is your favorite, and you are saying a sorry under major pillars of the post-colonial fiction, or the criticism, then this sorry is going to you kick out of the interview. So be careful that one what some sort of the question you are saying sorry. For example, if you are the student of English literature, and you are required to teach the postgraduate classes, and if you say sorry, I don't know that how many dramas have been written by Shakespeare, This sorry is going to you kick out from the interview. So sorry means uh, which might not be problematic for you. Never try to deceive your interviewer. Never try to cheat your interviewer. Never to mislead your interviewers. Be naturalistic. You are human. There might be a lot of things you are knowing. There might be a lot of things. For example, if he stick to the point that only I need the answer of this question, then simply say sorry, as you have no another option. But in spite of cheating and misleading him, simply say sorry. This sorry is uh, pardonable as compared to misleading your interviewer. So when you are done with the interview, you have given positive, and there is a possibility, and almost there is a possibility that the interviewer usually engage yourself into a negative question. For example, the interviewer may ask that, do you consider that there is a judiciary or equal distribution of wealth and resources in the world? Or he may ask that, do you consider that the poor are getting their rights in every state? In our state, if I talk of the Pakistan, that do you consider that the poor people are getting rights, judicial rights in the state of Pakistan while we have the claims of a welfare state? So this is a negative question. Never say in both ends, yes, sir, Pakistani are getting their rights. So this is basically the blunt. This is over optimism. And never say no. This is also the negative response. Say there are some areas where Pakistani people, even though those who are the poor, they are getting rights, and there, if for example, in city areas, the people are getting their rights, while those who are more from the less developed areas, from like Balochistan, they are not getting rights. And For example, it's up to the judicial system. The judicial system have to provide the rights where they are infringed from the state. Uh, so definitely, where there is a judiciary that's equal to everyone, you have to give a reason in your support. So try to be positive when there is some sort of negative question. Try to answer that in a very positive sense. And when you are done with your interview, keep one thing, that that interviewer was a busy person. He might be a bureaucrat. He might be some sort of technocrat, whatsoever he was, but he is more senior to you, and he has spent 5 to 10 or 20 minutes of his precious time to you. Then by the end of your interview, you should have to say like this, sir, thanks for your time. When he says that, gentlemen, you may go out, then you have to be confident, be quiet. By the end of the day, say, sir, thanks for your time. As you know, this word is more like a conversation style. It's more like a dialogue. The one person asks a question, the other one has to respond that in the answer, in the form of answer. The one has to. This is turn taking. So when the interviewer say, you gentlemen, you may leave the room, then you have to say something. If you simply say, sir, thanks, this is not an appropriate expression. You should have to say thanks for his time, as he invested 5 10 minutes of his precious time on you. Uh, with this, you can leave your room of your interviewer, uh, but never share uh, what is going to be asked you in the interview to the everyone. uh, if you would be asking and sharing the things that might create a negative impact, oh, I should have to be answer this question, you have been interviewed, that was the best part imposed by you. So then get relaxed. With this, goodbye, thank you very much.